He's afraid to even hug me, she said. She said it with a laugh. One of those high-pitched, crowd-pleasing laughs women use when they want people to see how unbothered they are. And for a second, the room followed her cue. A wave of polite chuckles, tilted wine glasses, people pretending they weren't enjoying the spectacle. But they were. I stood 2 feet away, holding a half-empty glass of warm white wine I didn't ask for, blinking like I hadn't just been punched in the face with words. My wife of 7 years, mocking me in front of a living room full of her friends, her co-workers, and, I realized a second too late, him. The trainer. He was near the fireplace, talking to the guy from her department, the one with the 2 white teeth and the plastic smile. When he heard her joke, he didn't laugh. He just raised his eyebrows and sipped his drink like it didn't concern him. But his eyes flicked toward me. Brief. Calculated. Like he was checking if I'd crack. I didn't crack. I burned. Unlike your trainer, right? I said, not loud, but just loud enough. I didn't look at her. I said it to the carpet, like I was asking it, almost whispering it to the floorboards. But somehow it cut through the room like a gunshot. Every laugh died, even the fake ones. I heard a fork clink against a plate. Someone coughed. Then silence. Thick, ugly, stretching silence. Daphne, my wife, turned her head toward me so slowly, I thought time was stalling just to savor her expression. Her mouth parted like she might respond, but no words came. Her face said everything. Shock. Not because it wasn't true, but because I finally said it out loud. She put down her drink, smoothed her dress, then excused herself like she had to check the oven. There was no oven. We were in someone else's condo. But no one stopped her. No one said a word. I stood there alone, in the crater of my own sentence, watching her disappear down the hallway. 15 minutes later, she was still gone. 20 minutes in, I checked the guest bathroom, empty. At the 30-minute mark, I stepped outside. Her car was gone. And that's when I knew. I hadn't embarrassed her. I'd cornered her. But I still had no idea just how far it had gone, or what was already unraveling behind my back. That knowledge would come in pieces. A strange receipt in her gym bag, a voicemail from a blocked number, and a bank transaction made the very night I was planning our anniversary. This wasn't a party. It was the start of the demolition. By the time I got home that night, I had no idea if I was angry, ashamed, or just numb. I drove in silence. No music, no podcast, just the soft clicking of my blinker and the echo of her voice bouncing off the inside of my skull. He's afraid to even hug me. That line kept twisting, morphing, expanding into something uglier every time I replayed it. I didn't realize I was gripping the steering wheel so tight until I got home and saw the crescent-shaped indents of my nails in my palms. The house was dark, empty. Her car wasn't in the driveway. She never came back from the party. No note, no call, just gone. I went to our bedroom out of habit, not hope. The bed was still made, aggressively neat, as if she hadn't slept in it for days. I sat down on the edge, like I was waiting for someone to tell me what to do next. That's when I noticed something I never paid attention to before. There was a faint scent of cologne on her pillow. Not mine. Something muskier, sharper. My deodorant was cool eucalyptus. This was leather and ego. I didn't sleep. I laid there like furniture, blinking up at the ceiling while the clock glared 3:12, 3:59, 4:43, and still, nothing. She didn't come home. When morning came, I pretended to go about my routine like everything was fine. Made coffee, toasted a bagel, let the water run hot in the shower just so I could sit on the edge of the tub and stare at the fog collecting on the mirror. Then I grabbed her gym bag. She always left it near the back door. Always, she used to say. That way I don't have an excuse not to go. I remember laughing at that once, thinking it was cute. Now it felt like the punchline of a joke I wasn't in on. I didn't mean to snoop. That's not who I am. Or wasn't, at least. But when I unzipped the bag, I saw a small white towel rolled up neatly with a paper receipt tucked beneath the elastic band. It was from a smoothie bar I'd never heard of, timestamp 10:36 p.m., the same night as the party. She'd ordered 2 drinks. Peach Flex and Dirty Date. One had an added scoop of protein. The name on the ticket? Chase. I stared at it for a long time. Not angry. Not surprised. Just hollow. Like the final puzzle piece I didn't want to fit suddenly snapped in. But I still gave her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it was innocent. Maybe they were just friends. Maybe she needed to vent after the party and he was being a good listener. Maybe I'm a fool. She came home around 11 a.m. Hair in a messy bun, sunglasses on indoors. She smelled like vanilla body spray and peppermint gum, the kind she only chews when she's anxious or covering something up. She didn't say hi. She said, "Do we really have to do this right now?" I didn't answer. I just held up the receipt. She didn't flinch. She didn't grab it. She didn't even look at it. She walked past me like I was a ghost and said, "You're being paranoid again." Again. That word hit me harder than the party ever did, because it meant this wasn't new. It meant she'd rewritten the story in her head already. I was the overreacting husband, the insecure man-child who couldn't handle her being successful, desirable, free. I felt myself shrinking right there in my own kitchen. "You mocked me in front of everyone," I said quietly. She opened the fridge, took out a bottle of cold water, cracked it open, and drank like we weren't even having a conversation. "I made a joke," she replied. "No, you made me the joke." That's when she finally looked at me, the real her, not the polished version she shows her coworkers. And she said it. "Then maybe stop making it so easy." I don't know how I didn't scream. I don't know how the water bottle in my hand didn't explode from the way I was squeezing it. But in that moment, everything shifted. Not just between us, but inside me. I realized I'd been tolerating things a man shouldn't have to tolerate. Disrespect, dismissal, deception. She thought I was soft. And she was right. I had been. But not anymore. I didn't argue. I didn't beg. I just looked at her and said, "Do me a favor. Cancel your training sessions for next week." She narrowed her eyes. "Why?" "Because Chase has a girlfriend. And she wants to meet you." That wasn't true. Not yet. But I was going to make it true. She didn't say anything after I mentioned Chase's girlfriend. She just blinked once, closed the fridge, and walked away like she hadn't just heard the fuse spark on a bomb. No protest. No, "What are you talking about?" Not even a laugh. That silence, it said more than a confession ever could. I waited until the door to the bedroom clicked shut before I let myself breathe again. My hands were still trembling, not with fear, but with the kind of adrenaline I hadn't felt in years. The kind that comes when the prey realizes maybe, just maybe, it still has teeth. I wasn't lying when I said Chase had a girlfriend. At least, not entirely. I didn't know if he did, but I had a theory. Men like Chase didn't stay single. They didn't live in isolation with clean protein and good lighting. They had someone, or several someones. And if one of those someones had a brain, she might already be suspicious. She might just be looking for me, too. So I did what every desperate husband does when he's tired of being stupid. I opened Instagram. I started with Daphne's profile. It was full of her usual curated nonsense. Motivational quotes, aesthetic coffees, mirror selfies with subtle flexes about her hard work paying off. The kind of fake vulnerability people post to look deep when they're actually just bragging. I went through her tagged photos. Lots of office events, brunches, gym shots. And then I found him. Chase. Tag from 2 months ago. A group photo, gym outing maybe. She was standing next to him. Not touching, but close. Like too close for just trainer territory. I clicked his profile. It was public. Of course it was. Men like that always want to be seen. It was exactly what I expected. Shirtless pics, motivational videos, and enough sponsored posts to make a Kardashian blush. But then I noticed something. In one of the photos, he was holding a puppy. The caption said, "Sunday with Scout and my better half blue heart #rest day #grateful." That's when I saw her. A brunette, soft features, wearing a hoodie with Columbus Vet Tech printed on it, blurry in the background, but clearly comfortable in the scene. Not posed, not for clout, just there, like someone who lives in the room. I zoomed in on the background. A corkboard, notes pinned, a calendar. On it, barely legible, was a name, Callie, and that was enough for me. I spent the next 2 hours combing through tagged photos, friends lists, mutuals. Eventually, I found her. Callie Tanner. Vet Tech. Quiet profile. Almost no posts. Just a picture of a dog, a latte, and a story highlight of her hiking in Hocking Hills. But in her tagged photos, gold. One was from someone's birthday. She was hugging Chase. But the caption wasn't from Callie. It was from a friend who tagged her and included a line that read, "At Callie Tanner, always bringing the cutest couple energy. You and Chase are perfect." Perfect, huh? I clicked the friend's profile. It was private. But the bio? It listed her pet grooming business and a business number. I copied it, opened WhatsApp, and typed, "Hey, this might be a weird question, but are you still friends with Callie Tanner? I think we might know each other through someone else." The response came 6 minutes later. "Yeah, I am. Why?" I hesitated. My thumbs hovered over the keyboard. "I think your friend's boyfriend is involved with my wife." Dot dot dot. Typing. Then nothing. 5 minutes passed. 10. I thought I blew it. Then a reply. "Is your wife's name Daphne?" I swear my stomach hit the floor. "Yes. You need to call me. Now." She dropped a number. Not Callie's. Hers. I called. Her voice was calm, measured, too calm. Like someone who's already seen the ending before and is just watching it replay. "I'm not surprised," she said. "Callie wouldn't be either. She's had her doubts for a while now. Chase gets weird every time he trains a new woman one-on-one. But with Daphne, it was different. He started hiding his phone. Started forgetting things. Once, Callie found one of Daphne's earrings in his Jeep. He said it must have fallen out of her gym bag when he helped her carry it. Did she believe him? I asked. She wanted to. But you just confirmed it. We talked for 20 minutes. She asked me not to tell Daphne about the call. Said she'd speak to Callie herself. We agreed to wait, just a day or two, to gather more. To be smart. To let them dig their own grave a little deeper. And in that moment, I realized I wasn't alone. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't paranoid. I was a man finally standing in the light, holding a map someone else had already drawn. But I didn't know that she, my wife, was also plotting something. I didn't sleep again that night. Not because I was hurt, though I was, but because my brain wouldn't shut up. It just kept looping the same questions, like a broken record stuck on the ugliest part of a song. Was she still seeing him? How long had it really been going on? Did she ever love me in the first place? Or was I just the placeholder until someone more sculpted, more confident, more Chase came along? Around 3:30 a.m., I got up and wandered into her office. It used to be our shared home office, back when she still worked remote like me. But over the past year, it slowly morphed into her personal space. She started locking it when she wasn't home. Started saying things like, "There's just confidential stuff in there." I used to believe her. Now I was done believing anything she said. The door wasn't locked this time. I turned the knob and stepped in, half expecting alarms to go off. But no, just her smell, floral, artificial, too clean. I sat at her desk and stared at her laptop. It was closed, but not powered down. I lifted the lid, and like the digital gods were on my side for once, it opened straight to her desktop. No password prompt. Maybe she'd been careless. Maybe she thought I'd never dare. But tonight I did. Her email was up. Work stuff. I didn't care. I minimized it and started combing through her files. I wasn't even sure what I was looking for. Maybe a folder labeled Affair Evidence or Secrets I Hope Marv Never Finds. Instead, I found something worse. A folder buried 3 levels deep, blandly titled Client Photos. It was filled with random headshots, ad mock-ups, cropped product shots, and one folder inside that simply said Private Drafts. Inside were photos. Selfies. Dozens. Not scandalous, not explicit. Just her, different outfits, mirror shots, duck lips, soft smiles. Some dated weeks ago. Some from months back. All of them looked staged. Like she was trying too hard. Like she was posing for someone else. Then I found it. One file stood out because of its name. IMG_8127X. Final. JPG. I clicked it, expecting another filtered mirror pic. But it wasn't a mirror shot. It was a photo of her, sitting cross-legged on a hotel bed in a robe. She was barefoot, holding a glass of wine in one hand, her hair messy in a way that didn't happen naturally. She was smiling, but not the way she smiled for Instagram. This smile was real, relaxed, intimate. And behind her, blurred but unmistakable, was a figure sitting at the edge of the bed. A man, shirtless, leaning slightly into frame as if reaching for something. Even through the blur, I knew it wasn't me. I checked the timestamp, Friday, 11:42 p.m., same night as the party. The night she left early. The night she needed space. The night she said I was too dramatic. I stared at that photo for a full minute. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't throw the laptop across the room like some movie husband. I just sat there, letting the numbness settle over me like a second skin. And then I did something I never thought I'd do. I took out my phone, took a picture of the picture, Not to confront her with it. Not yet. But because now I had leverage. I closed the laptop, went to the guest bedroom, and laid down on the mattress that still smelled like dust and old bedsheets. I stared at the ceiling until morning turned the room pale. She was already up when I came into the kitchen, already dressed, already sipping coffee like nothing had happened. She didn't even look at me. We should talk, I said. She exhaled like I was exhausting her. About what? The photo, I said quietly. She froze mid-sip. Her eyes flicked up. Still calm. Still calculating. What photo? I slid my phone across the counter and let the image speak for itself. She didn't deny it. Didn't ask how I found it. She just stared at it. And then said, "You went through my computer?" That's when I understood what kind of monster I was really married to. Not a cheater. Not just a liar. But a manipulator. The kind of person who, when caught in the act, doesn't apologize. She gaslights you for catching her. You had no right, she added, voice trembling, not with fear, but rage. I leaned forward, voice flat. You're right. I had no right. But you had no right either. To bring another man into my marriage. To make me the clown at your party. To humiliate me over and over again. Silence. Then she said the most terrifying thing she'd said yet. I'm not going to let you ruin my life over a mistake. A mistake. That's what I was now. That's what we were. But she didn't know the full picture yet. She didn't know I'd spoken to Callie. She didn't know Chase's web was about to collapse. She thought she still had control. She was wrong. I wasn't expecting the doorbell. Not at 9:17 a.m. on a Sunday. Not after the night I had. I was still in my hoodie from the day before, standing in the kitchen holding a coffee mug I'd reheated twice and never actually sipped. My phone was face down on the counter, Daphne still asleep. If she even was asleep. After our non-conversation about the hotel photo. The last thing I expected was a visitor. The doorbell rang again. Longer this time. More insistent. When I opened the door, I froze. It was Callie. I recognized her immediately, softer in person than she looked in photos, but her eyes had that same quiet sharpness. She was dressed in a windbreaker and jeans, hair in a loose braid, no makeup. She didn't look like she was here for drama. She looked like she hadn't slept either. Can I come in? She asked. Her voice was calm, almost too calm. I stepped aside, still not sure this was real. She walked past me like she'd been here before, like she'd imagined this moment 100 times and didn't want to waste a second now that it was happening. I'm sorry for showing up like this, she said, but I had to see it for myself. I didn't answer. I just picked up my phone, unlocked it, and opened the photo of Daphne on the hotel bed. I handed it to her silently. Callie took the phone and stared at it. Her face didn't move. Not an inch. Just a slow blink, and then another. That's the Marriott on East Broad, she said. He told me he was training a client at home that night. Said it ran late. I made him dinner and waited. I watched her thumb through the metadata. She wasn't shocked. She was verifying. Like she already knew, but needed the final puzzle piece to slot in place. She handed the phone back. Thank you. I'm sorry, I said, because it was all I could think to say. She shook her head. Don't be. This isn't your fault. They chose this. We sat down at the dining table. Two strangers bonded by the wreckage of people we trusted. She pulled out her phone next. You should see this, she said. This is what he sent her. She opened her message app and scrolled to a screenshot. It was from 2 weeks ago. A DM from Chase to Daphne. You looked unreal in that dress. If he's too afraid to touch you, someone else will. And below that, a picture of Daphne. The same black dress she wore to our dinner party. The one where I spent the entire night washing dishes and watching her laugh with people who ignored me. Callie sighed. That was the first one I found. There were more. I think they used Telegram after that. My stomach turned. Why are you showing me this? She looked at me, level, unblinking. Because I'm not the kind of woman who burns everything quietly and cries in her bathtub. I want to make this hurt. And I don't want to do it alone. That silence between us wasn't awkward. It was agreement. She slid a folded piece of paper across the table. This is Chase's schedule. Gym sessions, classes, when he's home, when he's not. I've memorized it. I want you to see something for yourself. Go to the gym Thursday night. 6:15, that's when she trains with him. You'll get your confirmation. I stared at the paper. The thought of walking into that gym made my skin crawl. But I nodded anyway. And after that, I asked. She leaned back. Then we plan. It wasn't a movie moment. No handshakes. No epic speeches. Just quiet understanding between two people who'd had enough. I walked her out, watched her drive away, and stood in the doorway too long after her car disappeared. Back inside, Daphne was still in bed, pretending to sleep, or waiting for me to leave. I didn't care which. I spent the next few hours going through every shred of communication I could find. Our old shared calendar, her emails, text backups I'd forgotten I synced with my laptop. And then I found it. A deleted email. Trashed, but not emptied. Subject line: guest confirmation, room 432, Marriott downtown. The guest listed, Daphne Keller. The secondary guest? Left blank. It was from 3 weeks ago, meaning this wasn't a one-time mistake. This was planned, coordinated, routine. I felt sick. Not from the betrayal, but from the realization that she never even considered I'd check. That's how confident she was in her ability to hide. Or maybe that's how little she thought of me. She assumed I'd just keep taking it. Keep being the loyal, boring husband who shrinks himself smaller and smaller so she could keep growing her double life. But I wasn't going to shrink anymore. I didn't go to the gym Thursday night to catch them. I went to watch them, not hide. There's a difference. Catching someone implies a secret, something tucked away, something shameful. But what I saw that night, it wasn't shame. It was performance. It was choreography perfected over time, not to deceive, but to thrill. The gym was in an upscale complex, polished wood floors, glass walls, minimalist branding that screamed money and ego. I signed up for a guest pass using a fake name and prepaid debit card. Wore a baseball cap, pulled low. Hoodie. Mask. Didn't make eye contact with anyone. Just wandered past the cardio area like I belonged, then looped around toward the private training zone. The glass windows there overlooked the weight area. That's where I saw her. Daphne. She was laughing, hand resting on Chase's arm like it had always belonged there. She wasn't wearing her wedding ring. I watched her adjust her ponytail with one hand while the other stayed lightly touching his elbow. Her hips swayed when she walked away from him, exaggerated just enough to signal this wasn't about fitness. He watched her like he owned her. Not in a possessive way, worse. In a casual way, like she wasn't even worth hiding anymore. And the way she looked at him? I hadn't seen that look in years. Not toward me. Not toward anyone, really. That mix of admiration and low-grade lust she used to give me when we were still us. When I used to bring her grocery store flowers just because. When I still believed you didn't have to compete for your own spouse's attention. But there she was. Not hiding. Not guilty. Smiling like this was the plan all along. I wanted to kick the glass in. Instead, I filmed them. Just for a few seconds. Enough to show proximity. Touches. Hands lingering too long. The smirk he gave her when she corrected his form. The way she leaned into him like there was no audience. Except, of course, there was. Me. I left before they noticed. Got in my car. Didn't start the engine right away. My fingers were trembling on the steering wheel again. Not out of shock this time. Out of grief. You'd think seeing it would harden you, prepare you, push you over the edge into rage. But it didn't. It broke me differently. More quietly. Because what I realized watching her wasn't just that she loved someone else. It was that she had become someone I didn't even recognize. A version of her I had never been allowed to meet. Playful. Loose. Free. Like our marriage had been a prison and she was finally out on parole. And the worst part? He didn't even look special. He looked predictable. Sculpted. Arrogant. That hollow kind of confident you only get when you've never had to try too hard for anything. I used to hate men like that on principle. Now I had a reason. I drove home and found her on the couch watching TV like her body hadn't just been inches away from someone else's hands. She muted the show. Didn't even blink. How was your walk? Walk. She still thought I was the guy who went on 8 p.m. walks to clear his head. I sat across from her and opened my phone. Played the video on mute. Held it up. Her expression didn't shift. Not once. I waited. Nothing. You're not even going to deny it. I asked. She leaned back, arms folded. What do you want me to say, Marv? You've already made up your mind. No. You've already acted on yours. She shrugged. So now what? You want a divorce? You want to punish me? Ruin my life? I could barely keep my voice steady. You ruined it yourself. I just have a camera. She tilted her head, and for the first time in months, I saw the real her. The calculating, emotionally distant version that always waited just behind the smile. You think showing a video of me touching a guy's arm makes you the victim? I nearly laughed. No. but showing it to his girlfriend might make her feel seen. That landed. She blinked, then sat forward, voice lower. You've been talking to her? I didn't answer. I didn't need to. She stood up slowly, like a storm trying to decide if it wanted to rain or explode. Then she said something I'll never forget. If you keep pushing this, you'll regret it. You think you're the only one who can play dirty? It wasn't a threat. Not exactly. It was a warning. And warnings, I've learned, are what people give when they realize they're losing control. I didn't say another word. I went upstairs, locked the door, and called Callie. It's time, I said. Let's do this. We didn't start with nuclear. That was Callie's idea. She said, if we go straight to war, they'll spin it. Let's make them walk into their own trap first. I didn't understand what she meant until I saw the plan unfold. A social time bomb set to explode in their hands while they were still smiling. It started with a post. A simple one. Callie uploaded a photo to her story, a screenshot of Chase and Daphne walking together out of the gym. Nothing intimate. Nothing scandalous. Just side by side, sweaty, laughing, stepping into his Jeep. But the timestamp at the top of the screen? That's what mattered. Thursday, 6:48 p.m. And the caption? Only 3 words. Some truths age. People noticed. Within an hour, she had DMs pouring in. Friends asking questions. 2 women from the gym replied with vague, "Oh, I knew it" energy. One even added, "I thought he was still with that quiet vet tech girl, damn." She didn't reply to them. She just watched it simmer. The second step was mine. I emailed the hotel confirmation Daphne had booked, the one with the photo from room 432, to her boss. Not anonymously. No lies. I wrote it as a concerned husband and included the line, if your corporate policies support married employees engaging in extramarital affairs during company-paid events, then perhaps you already know. Petty? Maybe. But I was done being the background character in my own life. The real fire started 3 days later. Sunday morning. I was halfway through pouring cereal when Daphne came stomping into the kitchen like a windstorm with a grudge. Her face was red, her phone clenched in her hand like she wanted to break it in half. What did you do? She hissed. I looked up, deadpan. Can you be more specific? There's a long list. You emailed my job? I informed your employer about your extracurricular activities in their hotel suite. If that's what you mean, then yes. She slammed her phone down. You are ruining my reputation. I couldn't help it. I actually laughed. No, Daphne. You ruined it. I'm just making sure the curtains stay open. She stared at me for a long moment. Her jaw clenched. I saw it. Not regret. Not apology. Just damage control. You're acting like a child, she snapped. And you're acting like someone who's about to lose everything she thought she was entitled to. She paced like a caged animal, and that's when she said it. The line that would become the final nail in our marriage's coffin. I only stayed this long because I felt sorry for you. She wanted it to land like a dagger. And it did. But it didn't kill me. It freed me. Good, I said, voice low. Because now, you'll know how it feels. I sent the full video, the one from the gym, showing her hand brushing Chase's, her laugh a little too intimate, to Callie. She posted it on her profile the next morning. With it, she wrote a caption that didn't mention names, but left no doubt. When your trainer gives more attention to someone else's wife than his own, it spread fast. Too fast. Gym community gossip is vicious, especially in tight circles. People started resharing, tagging. Chase deleted his Instagram within hours. Daphne locked her profile. Callie told me someone called the gym pretending to be a reporter. I don't know if that was real or drama-fueled panic, but it didn't matter. The damage was done. And then, out of nowhere, he messaged me. Chase. He found my number, probably from Daphne's phone, and texted me 3 words. We need closure. I stared at it for 5 minutes. Closure? That man took my wife emotionally, physically, mentally, and now he wanted a neat little bow on top? I replied with a single sentence. You'll get it when your girlfriends finish talking. I didn't respond to Chase's message. There was no closure he could offer that I hadn't already found in the mirror. Instead, I blocked his number. I forwarded the gym footage, the hotel photo, and the confirmation email to their corporate HR anonymously. Callie told me later that Chase was temporarily removed from client-facing sessions while they conducted a review. Translation: they couldn't outright fire him yet, but the clock had started ticking. Daphne lasted a little longer at her job. Her boss didn't respond to my email, but something must have been said behind closed doors Because she started working from home more, then finally stopped talking about her projects altogether. A week later, I came home to find her suitcase by the door. No goodbye, no scene, just a note scribbled on the back of a receipt. You were always too weak to keep me. I just stopped pretending. Funny how cruel people get when they know they've lost the power to lie. I didn't chase her. I didn't call. I didn't argue. Instead, I opened a window, breathed, let the house exhale with me. The following month was quiet, almost too quiet. I found myself looking over my shoulder in rooms she used to fill with noise, with scent, with cold comments dressed as sarcasm. I thought I'd feel free, but at first, I just felt erased, like I was starting from zero in a life that had been overwritten. Then something changed. It started with a small message from Callie. No drama, just a text. You doing okay? I told her the truth. Not yet, but better. We didn't become anything romantic. Not right away. Not in the way people expect when two wounded souls find each other. What we found was understanding, a shared silence that didn't feel empty, a kind of friendship that came with no expectations and no performances, the kind of quiet company that doesn't need fixing, just existing. We met for coffee twice, then 3 times. Then one evening, she asked if I wanted to help walk dogs from the shelter she volunteered at. It became a routine. We'd walk the dogs, talk about nothing, laugh at things that didn't matter. One night, I told her, "You know, I'm not sure if I've healed, but I feel lighter." She smiled and said, "That's how you know you're not carrying someone else's lies anymore." And she was right. I didn't need revenge anymore. Not the kind that burns and scars. I already had everything I needed. The truth, my voice, and my freedom. I moved out of the house 2 months later. Sold it. Took the money and started fresh 2 cities over. New job, new apartment, new mornings that didn't start with silence loaded with resentment. I bought a secondhand desk and started writing again, something I hadn't done since college. Just little essays. Reflections. I posted one anonymously online. To the man who thinks he's weak because she said so, you're not. You were just kind in a world that profits off cruelty. It got reshared a few times. Someone left a comment. This saved me tonight. And that's when it hit me. Maybe my story wasn't about being humiliated at a party. Maybe it was about finally choosing myself. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't destruction. It's resurrection. And I'm still rising.